Hello everyone. I'm late with this one as I took the American Government CLEP a few months ago, but back then I wasn't really sold on making YouTube videos. I've gotten enough messages from people saying these are helpful, so we're going to keep cranking them out. I'm playing catch up on a few of these though. If we haven't met yet, I'm Justin from Free-Clep-Prep, a website that has been helping people earn college credit for the past 17 years. If you're not familiar with CLEPs and DSSTs, I'd suggest watching this video to learn what they're all about. The first time that I took American Government CLEP was back in 2007, and it was a brutal experience. That was on me because I didn't really study for it. I considered myself pretty knowledgeable on politics, and I'd taken a government class back in high school, so that would have been enough, right? Not really, no. I scored a 50 and I barely eked by with some credits for my degree. Now, I always say a pass is a pass, but that's cutting it a little close. The good news is that it showed me where I was weak. So when I started Free-Clep-Prep a few years later, I was able to put together a study guide that helped many people do much better than I did. Fast forward to a few months ago, and I took it again using our most up-to-date material, studied for a grand total of about 6 hours. I know, it's not the smartest thing again, but in my defense, I was taking 4 different tests that same day, so I had to split my studying. I did walk away with a 66 this time, which is a much more comfortable margin of error. More importantly, I didn't see anything not covered by our free study guide, which gave me confidence that we're helping prepare people correctly, and really that's the only thing that matters to me these days. So let's talk about what's on the exam. You can get to the official fact sheet directly from the study guide at Free-Clep-Prep, and they did a pretty good job breaking down what you can actually expect to see on the actual exam. You've got your 3 branches of government listed at the top: civil liberties, political parties, political beliefs, and the beat goes on. All of these are split pretty evenly in terms of how many questions you can expect from each section, with the exception of the first category, which is roughly 30% of the exam. It's simple, right? Yeah. You know it's not that simple. I've mentioned before that there are different versions of CLEP exams, and that is especially true with the American Government CLEP. There's a lot of overlap within these categories, and you'll have some versions that lean heavily into that. Now, what do I mean? Let's take the Supreme Court as an example. Based on the breakdown, you might think that you only get a few questions about the Supreme Court cases. After all, it's only one line in that first category. But I will tell you now, there will be some versions where you will get hammered with Supreme Court cases. That's because you're actually getting questions about civil rights or campaign contributions, abortion, or executive privilege. You might get 30 different questions, each from a different category, but all of which ask about specific Supreme Court cases. The same thing happens to people taking versions of the exam where they lean heavily on the Constitution or its amendments, or civil rights and liberties. This gets a lot of people into trouble because they find a Quizlet card deck or a forum post or even a YouTube video that does a great job of covering what's on one version, and then their version goes deep into something completely different. It's not a good time. So how do you stop that from happening? By studying everything. Seriously, just start at the top of our free study guide and work your way down. You don't have to read every topic. If you know what something is from school or just because you pay attention to the news, then skim through or skip it completely and spend your time on the topics you need help with. I would pay particular attention to civil rights and liberties because this is a CLEP and that's always a safe bet. Things like affirmative action, Title VII, civil rights acts. Likewise, I go heavy into election law, campaign finance, and the effects of media, family, and friends on people's political beliefs. The rest of the exam is going to be things that you would expect to see for American government. Know the Bill of Rights and the other big-ticket civil rights amendments, such as the 13th, 14th, 15th, and 19th. Know the famous Supreme Court cases as we discussed earlier. We have a ton of them listed, and it's probably overkill for most people. I would concentrate on the ones dealing with civil rights, like Dred Scott, Brown versus Board of Education, or Korematsu versus the United States. Civil liberty cases that you probably want to know include Gideon versus Wainwright, Atkins versus Virginia, Griswold versus Connecticut, and Miranda versus Arizona. Election cases like Bush versus Gore might also pop up. That first category encompasses a lot of material, and I would know how each of the 3 branches of government works, know their powers and authority, how each provides checks and balances to the other 2 branches, their internal workings, the agencies and committees, and how relationships like the Iron Triangle help shape legislation. On the judicial side, I'd understand the different types of federal courts and their responsibilities, with special emphasis on the Supreme Court and how it operates. I know this probably sounds like a lot of stuff to cover, and if you're starting from scratch, it can be. If you've taken a government class recently, though, especially something like AP, U.S. Governments and Politics, you'll probably be fine to take this with minimal study. As always, I would suggest you take advantage of Modern States for the voucher, but this is another one of the CLEPs where I would not base my readiness on their final exam. It's much easier than the real thing. On the other side of the coin, as I was preparing this video, someone posted on the feedback section of Free-Clep-Prep saying they scored a 71, studied for around 30 hours, and found our practice test harder than the real thing. Now, that's what we like, so I'd run through those a few times as well. It'll give you a scaled score just like the real CLEP, and I would aim for around mid 60s to 70. That'll be it for this video. More will be on the way, so if you found this helpful and want to see other videos like it, hit me with a like and subscribe. It helps the channel, helps YouTube find it. If you have any other questions, feel free to ask me below or reach out to me on the site. Best of luck to you on all of your exams, and I'll see you again soon. Take care.